And this fall we chose to go to the Buffalo River in Arkansas. The Buffalo River is a national river, which means it's completely protected. There's no dams on it. There's no buildings next to it or anything like that. It's a protected river, and we have wilderness on all sides. And so that's what you're seeing some footage of now. So we went down there.
There you are.
Yeah, we went down there in September. This September 21st. That's a walking stick that happens to be walking in some bear tracks. We had we heard a large splash in the middle of the night one night. And
Brittany, you were out there, huh?
I wish.
A few yards down from our campsite, we'd noticed a bear had been walking through.
Oh my gosh.
That is neat.
So it was really close to you.
It was close. It didn't mess with our food. It didn't mess with us, so we can't complain.
You have been prepared if it did.
I would have sent Brittany out after it while I took off running. That's usually my strategy.
How many students went on the trip?
There are 7 students that went on the trip, and so.
Because Wilderness Experience is not a required course for the program, but it's an elective, correct?
It's a required course for the program.
It is a required course.
Yeah.
So do you go every fall?
Well, generally we go in the summer. We decided to move it to fall this year. I just wanted to kind of spice it up for myself. We typically go to the Boundary Waters, which is up in northern Minnesota. This year we went south. We went to Arkansas. So as you can see with the video, this is us loading up our gear. This is the first day we were there, so we're preparing for a long trip. We obviously had to take quite a bit of stuff with us. We could have lived off the land.
Brittany, was that you?
Yeah, that was me.
We could have just, the way Brittany was fishing, she was catching so many fish, she could have fed us all 6 nights, but we did bring our own food. We caught fish, we ate fish a couple times. We found wild edible plants. There was a lot of stuff ripe that time of year down there, persimmons and hickories and all kinds of good stuff. So we gathered that stuff and made a couple meals out of it. So we didn't just canoe the whole time. We also went hiking, and there's some great hiking trails in that area. We went way up into the bluffs and other things like that to explore different ecotypes and different types of habitat. Great view of the Buffalo River there, but just tremendous scenery, and it's stuff that we have to travel because you really can't find true wilderness here in Iowa anymore. You can find these little pockets, but this is like 100,000 acre wilderness, where you're not going to see people.
So how many days were you out there?
We were out there for 6 days total. When we go to the Boundary Waters, we usually do a few extra days. And the Boundary Waters is, like I said, northern Minnesota, southern Canada. We're going to go there this summer for the Wilderness Experience class.
Okay, so anybody who wants to register, now they know where they're
going. So anybody can take this course. They don't have to be a conservation.
Right. So 3 of the people that signed up for the course this time are not conservation students. They just...
Did you convert them? Are they now?
Are they?
I don't know. They certainly love the trip. They said they want to come back to the Boundary Waters trip, so I hope they do. But yeah, anybody can take the class. If you're interested in wilderness, you want to learn more canoeing skills, camping skills, you want to learn about different plants and animals, it's a great way to do it because you're out there in the natural setting.
How many students, what's the cap?
Generally, I can only handle about 10, and that's
it's whatever.
So they should hurry because they could register.
Yeah.
Soon. Well, I think we have the schedule out already, so it's ready.
Yeah, get registering now. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say I can only handle 10 is just because logistically, if we have 30 students and we're trying to camp all together, and you're going to get a better learning experience with a smaller group.
Anabelia will go and handle the other 10.
I'll go if Erin if Erin wants to go with me. But you had great weather this year, didn't you?
Oh, it was perfect, and we can't always guarantee that. This year we lucked out. We only had.
I'll go when you can guarantee it.
Yeah. I think we had a half a day of rain. The first 2 days we were there, it was like 80, 90 degrees, and then it cooled off and was in the 70s all day. And I mean, just fantastic weather. That's why we chose going down there that time of the year. If you go in August or something, it's just blistering hot. So.
Right, so there we go. Not going to do it if it's in the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, good excuse this time.
Yeah. Maybe next year. Okay, so was that all the film that we had? Did you have anything else that we were going to be able to see?
No, that was all the film we had of the trip. It was it's a short little film, but it kind of shows the gist of what to expect, you know, in terms of the canoeing and camping and all the other wonderful things. So.
You didn't
Brittany,
have
what
a
was your
picture
favorite part?
He didn't have a picture of my big fish I caught on that.
Well, he says you pretty much fished for everybody. Did you,
Showed
you
the
must
guys
be the
how
pro.
it's done.
I did actually.
Showing them.
She claims she outfished me, but see, what I would do is I'd get up at like 3 in the morning and fish, and then I'd throw all the fish back. So.
Oh,
Right to the area where Brittany.
Yeah, you know, I didn't want her to feel bad. I didn't want her to have a bad time on the trip, so I stocked it for her.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
You helped me out a lot then.
I sure did.
What was your favorite? Erin had asked you that. What was your favorite part of the trip?
Fishing.
Besides the fishing?
Fishing. Yeah, I fish
Okay,
a
what
lot.
else?
The
Or something
scenery.
you've never done before? Is that a tough question?
Well, I never had canoed like that before. I mean, I've been in a canoe, but we actually had to like learn different paddle strokes and stuff like that to get around in the river, because there was little rapids, but they would get kind of technical where you'd have to like maneuver around big rocks and everything. We actually had one team tip their canoe, and then we took on a little bit of water.
A little bit. We filled up the
took on
canoe
a lot.
actually, but that's
On
okay.
purpose?
It was his fault.
No, I think it was your fault. Anyways, yeah, I mean,
It was my fault.
we always have to be like prepared for that sort of stuff. So I mean, it's inevitable that somebody's going to tip a canoe. So I always give the students a lot of heads up on how to pack, so that if you do tip your canoe, your clothes aren't completely soaked for the whole week.
So when you're
like that.
canoeing, you have all of the stuff that you brought with you in the canoe?
All of your gear, because
Oh, that's
what we did
intense.
on this trip is we did a
I thought you were
60.
just going for a joyride.
Right.
Oh no, we did a 60-mile stretch of the river. So we started at one point and we took out at another. That meant along
We're
the
going to
way.
go back to pick anything up. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
Exactly. So anything we needed, we brought with us. Yeah.
We did
Okay, so
12
that
miles
makes
a
the
day.
tipping of the canoe a lot more dramatic.
Right.
Absolutely, because
Right.
if somebody had the food with them and they lost the food, the food is gone, and we've
What
got
happened with the canoe that did tip?
Yeah.
What was in
was
there?
there stuff dry?
Well, yeah. Luckily, they packed correctly, and their clothes were fairly well dry. They tied stuff onto the canoe, which is what you're supposed to do. And when the canoe tipped, the gear stayed with the canoe, and we were able to get them out of the water and get their stuff in, and just kept going on our way. So.
Okay, so how'd you get the water out of your canoe?
We
was
had to pull
filled?
it ashore and
tip
it over, and it's pretty heavy when you got
Yeah.
that much water in a canoe.
So one requirement to go on this trip is to know how to swim. Obviously.
Got to know how to swim, because little things like that happen. Even though we have life jackets and everything, you have to know how to swim. And we want people to be in decent shape. You don't have to be a marathon runner or anything like that, but you have to be in decent enough shape to be able to paddle all day and hike and do those sorts of things. So, other than that.
So were you sore when you got home?
It wasn't too bad, no. We did 12 miles a day though, so it got hard a little bit towards the end of the days, but it wasn't too bad. But the water was only like 3 feet deep or so.
In most spots.
And there's deep holes and everything that you got to be real careful of, but it's not too terrible.
So it's just the idea. If you don't know how to swim, then you would probably freak out with 1 foot of water. I mean, it's just probably not something that they can handle. But it sounds like you guys had a great time.
Yeah, it was.
So are there any other requirements besides swim and
you have to be
a student to register?
You have to be cooperative too, because the great part about this trip too is every student that went on the trip this time was more than willing to do their share. And you know, I've had experiences where, you know, every trip has been great, but you know, 1 or 2 students doesn't want to pull their weight, and so I guess being willing to work hard is another requirement. And you know, it just makes it easier for everybody on the trip when you do that.
What's the cost of the trip?
Well, this trip, what did you get? You have to pay your tuition, and then there's an extra fee. And I think for the Arkansas trip, what was it, $340 or something?
$240.
Oh, $240.
For extra, yeah.
Which is actually really cheap. If you tried to do this on your own, you'd pay a lot more than that. So we, by doing this as a group and as a class, we get deals on the canoe rentals. We can buy bulk amounts of food and stuff like that, and so.
So that fee includes the food?
That includes your food, that includes your canoes, your tents, the gasoline that it took to get us down there, and so it's a tremendous deal. Now, when we go to the Boundary Waters, it'll be a little bit more expensive than that because, for one, we're going farther, and for two, it requires a little bit more, a little bit extra outfitting. So we go through an outfitter that, when we go to the Boundary Waters, they provide us with our food as well. This time around, I bought the food, but they'll provide it.
Oh.
But we
get college credit.
And you get college credit for doing stuff that's you don't usually get a chance to do. So.
I had heard before that it was one of those courses that people took just because. I mean, it was an experience to do, you know, aside from their regular biology class or their Comp 1 class or whatever, they did this, and it was just, you know, a step above and beyond what they could have gotten experience to do anywhere else. Right.
You can't get these experiences in a classroom, even with computers or, you know, videos or whatever. There's no comparing just being there and the feels and the sights and the smells and everything else.
Smells.
The smells, good and bad.
Mostly good.
Yeah, mostly good. Smell of frying fish next to the clean running river. So, and I guess that's the other thing. You got to be willing to go to the bathroom in the woods. And
that was one thing I'd forgotten. You're right. You did talk to us a little bit about that when you got back.
Yeah.
Don't tell us that much.
Well, I mean,
how to what extreme? I mean, are these people? The students are going to want to know how.
Well, I mean, you dig a hole and you go to the bathroom in it and you cover it up like a cat or something.
Can you imagine? It's not something I would have. I mean, I didn't expect it to be that.
Yeah. So I mean, but amazingly, you get used to that very quickly. You know, I mean. It's almost peaceful going to the bathroom next to a river like that. And the other thing is, you know, another thing is bathing. I guess you bathe in the river or in the lake, and I mean, it's not like we strip down naked or anything. You just jump in like you're going for a swim, and we make sure that you have biodegradable soap because we're actually getting our drinking water out of the same river, so we don't want to trash it completely. So
wait.
So we're not
the river water.
We're drinking river water, but we filter it. So there's handheld filters. We filter the water, and I bring iodine tabs along as extra. You know, if you're really worried about the filters not working, you can throw an iodine tab, and that'll kill anything that's in the water. But.
So this is really not, you know, going on a canoe trip and you're staying in a little cabin up the road. It's on a canoe trip and you're out there digging your own hole to go to the restroom and drinking and bathing.
I'm more concerned with the water and drinking it.
This is
so the whole thing is very natural.
This is a true wilderness experience. I mean, this is the way the pioneers would have done it, I guess. But I mean, we're not like hunting for our own food every night, though. We do bring food. We do have some comforts. We're sleeping in tents, waterproof tents, and you know, so there are some comforts. But we try to do it. We try to minimalize things because it makes it a lot easier for traveling in the canoes if we're bringing along, you know, your curling irons and all that other stuff.